Papa, Papa, where are you? Eleanor's desperate cry echoed through the crowded supermarket aisles, her small hands trembling as she spun in circles, tears streaming down her flushed cheeks. Jennifer immediately dropped the boxes she was stocking and rushed toward the little girl's panicked voice. 8 years working at Morrison's Market had taught her to recognize genuine distress, and this child was terrified. "Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong?" Jennifer knelt down, keeping her voice gentle and calm. The girl had beautiful dark curls and the most striking green eyes she'd ever seen, but they were wide with fear. "I can't find my papa. The lights are too bright and there's too many people and I got scared and ran, but now I don't know where he is." Eleanor's words tumbled out in a rush, her breathing becoming rapid and shallow. Jennifer recognized the signs immediately. This child was having a sensory overload, likely autistic. Her heart ached remembering her younger brother who had similar episodes. Okay, let's breathe together first. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3. Jennifer began the breathing exercise, and Elena gradually started to follow along. Before we continue with Elena's rescue, I want to ask you something special. If this story is touching your heart already, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Also, comment below and tell me where you're watching from tonight. I love connecting with our amazing community from around the world. Your engagement means everything to us. Now let's see what happens next with Elena and this kind stranger. That's much better. Now what's your papa's name? Vito. His name is Vito and he's very tall and has dark hair and he always wears nice suits. Elena's breathing had calmed, but her grip on Jennifer's hand was still tight. Okay, Elena, we're going to find Vito. Can you stay right here with me while I call for him on the speaker? Meanwhile, 3 aisles over, Vito Marcelli was in full panic mode. His security detail was frantically searching every corner of the store. How could he have lost sight of Elena? She'd been right beside him one moment, examining the colorful cereal boxes, and the next she was gone. His phone buzzed with updates from his men, but none were good news. The most powerful man in Chicago, who controlled million-dollar operations with an iron fist, felt completely helpless when it came to finding his 8-year-old daughter. Then he heard the gentle voice over the store's PA system. "Would Vito please come to aisle 7? Your daughter Elena is here safe and sound, waiting for you." Vito ran through the store like a man possessed, his expensive Italian shoes sliding on the polished floor. When he reached aisle 7, he saw something that stopped him in his tracks. Elena was sitting calmly on a small stool, coloring in a notebook that the store employee had given her. The woman, Jennifer, according to her name tag, was sitting beside his daughter, speaking to her in soft, patient tones about the pictures she was drawing. "Papa!" Elena jumped up and ran into his arms. "Jennifer helped me breathe and she gave me her special notebook." Vito looked over Elena's head at the woman who had calmed his daughter's storm. Jennifer had kind brown eyes and auburn hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. There was something genuine about her smile, something that made his chest tighten in an unexpected way. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice rough with emotion. "I don't know how to—" "No need to thank me. She's a wonderful little girl." Jennifer stood, brushing off her uniform. "Elena told me she likes to draw. The notebook is hers to keep." But their moment was interrupted by a sharp voice. "Rodriguez, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Capítulo 2. Manager Brad Thompson stormed down aisle 7, his face red with indignation. Behind him trailed several other customers who had been waiting for Jennifer to finish restocking the shelves. "You abandoned your station to play babysitter. We've got 3 complaints about empty shelves in produce and you're here coloring with some kid." Brad's voice carried throughout the store, drawing stares from other shoppers. Jennifer felt her face flush with embarrassment. "Mr. Thompson," she was lost and scared. "That's not your job. Your job is stocking shelves, not childcare. This is exactly the kind of nonsense I've been documenting. You're fired, Rodriguez. Clear out your locker." Vito watched the scene unfold with growing fury. This woman had shown his daughter more kindness and understanding in 10 minutes than most people showed in a lifetime, and she was being humiliated for it. "Hey, excuse me." Vito stepped forward, his voice dangerously quiet. When he spoke like this in boardrooms, grown men trembled. "Are you seriously firing this woman for helping a lost child?" Brad barely glanced at him. "Sir, this is store business. We have policies. Your policies matter more than basic human decency." Vito's tone dropped another degree. Eleanor, sensing the tension, moved closer to Jennifer, who instinctively put a protective arm around the little girl. Look, whoever you are, this employee has a history of performance issues. This is just the final straw. Brad turned back to Jennifer. You have 15 minutes to get your stuff. As Brad walked away, Vito pulled out his phone. 2 quick calls, first to his assistant, then to his lawyer. Within minutes, he had the information he needed. Morrison's Market was owned by Chicago Foods Consortium, a company he'd done business with before. Miss Rodriguez, Vito said quietly, could we speak privately for a moment? Jennifer looked confused but nodded. She knelt down to Elena's level. Sweetheart, I need to talk to your papa for just a minute, okay? Will I see you again? Elena asked, her green eyes wide with concern. I hope so, little one. Vito led Jennifer a few steps away. What just happened to you isn't right. That man humiliated you in front of everyone for doing something decent. It's okay. Really? I'll find another job. But Jennifer's voice wavered slightly. This job had good benefits, and money was tight since her mother's medical bills started piling up. No, it's not okay. Vito studied her face, noting the way she held herself with dignity, despite the public embarrassment. I want to help. You don't even know me. I know enough. You helped my daughter when she needed it most. Elena has autism, and new people usually make her anxious, but she trusted you immediately. Vito paused, choosing his words carefully. I'm in a position to help, and I'd like to offer you a job. Jennifer laughed, but there was no humor in it. Doing what? You seem nice, but I don't even know what you do for work. I run several businesses in Chicago. I could use someone trustworthy in my household staff. The pay would be significantly better than here, full benefits, and Elena clearly likes you. Something in his tone made Jennifer study his face more carefully. Everything about him screamed money. The perfectly tailored suit, the expensive watch, the way he carried himself with absolute confidence. But there was also something else, something that made her skin prickle with awareness. I appreciate the offer, but I don't accept jobs from strangers in grocery stores. Vito almost smiled at that. Smart woman. Fair enough, here's my card, think about it. The business card was simple, elegant. Vito Marcelli, CEO, Marcelli Enterprises. The address was in downtown Chicago's most expensive district. As they rejoined Elena, Jennifer noticed something odd. Several men in dark suits had appeared throughout the store, all of them watching Vito with the alertness of bodyguards. Who exactly was Vito Marcelli? Capítulo 3. 3 days after the supermarket incident, Jennifer stared at Vito's business card for the 100th time. She'd Googled Marcelli Enterprises and found a legitimate company with interests in real estate, restaurants and construction. Impressive, but somehow the internet felt sanitized, like important information was missing. Her apartment felt smaller each day. The eviction notice sat on her kitchen table next to a stack of her mother's medical bills. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford much longer. The doorbell rang, surprising her. She wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole she saw a well-dressed woman holding a large gift bag and a little girl with familiar dark curls. Elena? Jennifer opened the door, shocked. Jennifer! Elena threw her arms around Jennifer's waist. I missed you! Maria brought me to give you something. The woman with Elena smiled warmly. I'm Maria Santos, Elena's nanny. She's been talking about you non-stop since Saturday. Mr. Marcelli thought you might like a visit. He sent you here? Jennifer felt confused and slightly alarmed. How had he gotten her address? Elena insisted on bringing you this. Maria held out the gift bag. And Mr. Marcelli wanted me to extend the job offer in person, in case you had questions. Inside the bag was a beautiful leather-bound sketchbook and a set of professional colored pencils. Elena bounced excitedly. It's for drawing, like the notebook you gave me, but bigger. Jennifer's throat tightened with emotion. Elena, this is too much. Do you like it? Papa said artists need good supplies and you drew the prettiest flowers in my notebook. I love it, sweetheart. Jennifer hugged the little girl, breathing in her sweet shampoo scent. Over Elena's head, she met Maria's knowing eyes. Can I see your apartment? Elena asked. Maria said you might show me your other drawings. Elena, we shouldn't impose, Maria began. It's fine, Jennifer found herself saying. Would you like some juice? I think I have cookies. As Eleanor explored the small apartment with the curiosity of a child, Maria and Jennifer talked quietly in the kitchen. She doesn't usually warm up to people this quickly, Maria said, watching Elena examine Jennifer's small collection of art books. In 3 years working for Mr. Marcelli, I've never seen her take to someone like this. She's a special little girl. And you're exactly what she needs. What they both need, actually. Something in Maria's tone made Jennifer look at her sharply. What do you mean? Mr. Marcelli works too much, carries too much responsibility. Eleanor needs stability, and he needs... Maria paused, choosing her words carefully. He needs someone who sees Elena's potential instead of her challenges. Someone who understands that kindness matters more than money. You're talking like I've already accepted the job, haven't you? You've been unemployed for 3 days. Elena adores you, and my boss doesn't make offers lightly. Jennifer watched Elena carefully arranging crayons by color on her coffee table, humming quietly to herself. The little girl seemed so content, so at peace. What exactly would I be doing? Helping with Elena primarily. Tutoring, activities, companionship. Mr. Marcelli travels frequently for business, and while I handle the household, Elena needs someone who can connect with her emotionally. And Vito, Mr. Marcelli, he's okay with a stranger being around his daughter. Maria's smile was knowing. Jennifer, you stopped being a stranger the moment you knelt down to help a scared little girl in that supermarket. Some connections transcend time. Elena appeared in the doorway, holding one of Jennifer's sketches, a charcoal drawing of a mother and child. Did you draw this? It looks like love. Jennifer's breath caught. The drawing was of her own mother from before the illness, before everything got complicated. Yes, sweetheart, that's my mama. She's beautiful. Will you teach me to draw like that? Looking into Elena's hopeful green eyes, eyes that reminded her so much of someone, though she couldn't place who, Jennifer felt her resistance crumbling. Yes, she heard herself saying, I'll teach you. Maria smiled knowingly. I'll tell Mr. Marcelli you'll start Monday. Capitulo 4. Monday morning, Jennifer stood before the imposing iron gates of the Marcelli estate, her stomach churning with nerves. The mansion beyond was breathtaking, all stone and elegant lines with manicured gardens that probably cost more than her yearly rent. A security guard approached her car, and she suddenly felt foolish in her 10-year-old Honda Civic. Jennifer Rodriguez for Elena Marcelli, she said, showing the ID Maria had instructed her to bring. Of course, Miss Rodriguez. Mr. Marcelli is expecting you. Follow the main drive to the front entrance. As she drove up the circular driveway, Jennifer tried to calm her racing heart. What was she doing here? She was a grocery store clerk with a high school diploma, about to work for someone who lived like royalty. The front door opened before she could ring the bell. Maria appeared professional but warm in a navy dress. Perfect timing. Elena's been watching for you since 7 a.m. The interior of the house was even more impressive than the exterior. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers and artwork that looked like it belonged in a museum. But before she could fully absorb the luxury, Elena came racing down the grand staircase. Jennifer, you're here. Come see my room. Come see my art supplies. Come see everything. Elena, slow down, came a familiar, deep voice. Vito appeared at the top of the staircase, and Jennifer's breath caught. In the supermarket, he'd been impressive but approachable. Here, in his element, he was something else entirely. He wore a charcoal grey suit that looked like it cost more than her car, and his dark hair was perfectly styled. But it was the way he moved, with the confident grace of someone accustomed to absolute power, that made her pulse quicken. He descended the stairs with fluid precision, his green eyes the same shade as Elena's fixed on her face. Miss Rodriguez, welcome to our home. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Marcelli. Vito, he corrected, extending his hand. When their fingers touched, Jennifer felt an unexpected spark of electricity. From the slight widening of his eyes, he'd felt it too. Papa, can I show Jennifer my room now? Elena tugged on her father's jacket. In a moment, Stellina. I need to discuss Miss Rodriguez's responsibilities first. He led them to an elegant library lined with leather-bound books. Elena immediately climbed into one of the oversized chairs, making herself at home. Elena's schedule is fairly structured, Vito began, his tone becoming businesslike. Academic tutoring in the mornings, creative time in the afternoons. She has therapy twice a week, which Maria typically handles. What about friends, playdates? Something flickered in Vito's expression. Elena doesn't socialize easily with other children. She finds it overwhelming. Jennifer glanced at Elena, who was quietly examining a book about butterflies. Has she had opportunities to try? Several. It never goes well. There was pain in his voice, carefully controlled but visible to someone who was looking for it. Maybe she just needs the right environment. Children like Elena often do better in smaller groups, with activities they're passionate about. You seem to know a lot about autism. My younger brother, Miguel, was on the spectrum. I learned that every child is different, but they all need patient understanding. Vito studied her face intently. "'Twas," Jennifer's voice grew soft. "Car accident when he was 16. But before that I saw how much he could accomplish when people believed in him instead of limiting him." Elena looked up from her book. "I'm sorry about your brother. Was he good at drawing like you?" "He was brilliant at music. He could hear a song once and play it perfectly." "That's amazing, Papa. Did you hear that? Miguel could play anything." Vito was watching the interaction with an expression Jennifer couldn't quite read. "Elena loves music too. Perhaps you could help her explore that interest." "I'd love to. Papa, sing the song, the one Nonna used to sing." "Not now, Stellina. Please, Jennifer hasn't heard it." Vito looked genuinely uncomfortable, but Elena's pleading eyes wore down his resistance. He began singing softly in Italian, a lullaby that was hauntingly beautiful. His voice was rich and warm, filled with love for his daughter. Jennifer felt tears prick her eyes. This powerful, intimidating man became someone entirely different when he looked at Elena, vulnerable, devoted, completely human. When the song ended, Elena clapped enthusiastically. "Wasn't that beautiful, Jennifer?" "It was perfect," Jennifer said, looking directly at Vito. For a moment their eyes held, and she saw something there that made her heart race. Loneliness, perhaps, or recognition of a kindred spirit. Capítulo 5. 2 weeks into working for the Marcelli family, Jennifer had settled into a routine that felt surprisingly natural. Elena was a joy to work with. Bright, funny, and endlessly creative when given the right encouragement. But it was the quiet moments with Vito that were becoming more frequent and more dangerous to her peace of mind. Like now, as she sat in the garden with Elena, teaching her to sketch the roses while Vito worked nearby on his laptop, occasionally glancing up to watch them with an expression that made her pulse quicken. "Jennifer, why don't you have a husband?" Elena asked innocently, her crayon paused mid-stroke. "Elena?" Vito's voice held a warning note. "It's okay," Jennifer said, though she felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I just haven't found the right person yet. Papa doesn't have a wife either. Mama went to heaven when I was little." The casual way Elena mentioned her mother's death made Jennifer's chest ache. She glanced at Vito, who had gone very still, his jaw tightened. "I'm sorry for your loss," Jennifer said softly, addressing both father and daughter. "I don't remember her much," Elena continued, focused on her drawing. "But Papa says she was beautiful and kind like you." The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken emotion. Vito closed his laptop with deliberate precision. "Elena, why don't you show Jennifer the butterfly garden? I'll join you in a few minutes." As Elena skipped ahead toward the elaborate garden maze, Vito fell into step beside Jennifer. They walked in comfortable silence until they were out of Elena's earshot. "I'm sorry about that. She doesn't understand appropriate boundaries sometimes. She's just curious. It's normal for children to ask questions." "Is it?" His voice was strained. "I'm never sure what's normal anymore. Being Elena's father dealing with her needs, it's—" He paused, running a hand through his hair. "I feel like I'm failing her most days." "You're not failing her." The vehemence in her voice surprised them both. "Vito, she adores you. You sing to her. You learn about her interests. You hired someone specifically to help her thrive. That's not failure, that's love." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "You really believe that?" "I know it. I see how she lights up when you come home, how she saves her best drawings to show you at dinner. She feels safe and loved." Something shifted in his expression, gratitude mixed with something deeper, more dangerous. "Jennifer," Eleanor's voice carried from the butterfly garden. "Come see, the monarchs are here." As they rejoined Elena, Jennifer noticed a black SUV pulling into the driveway. Vito's entire demeanor changed instantly. His shoulders tensed, his expression became guarded. "Take Elena inside," he said quietly. "Now!" The authority in his voice made her move without question. "Come on, sweetheart, let's get some lunch." "But the butterflies—" "We'll come back later. Your papa has work to do." From the kitchen window, Jennifer watched Vito approach the SUV. 3 men in expensive suits got out. They looked like businessmen. But something about their bearing reminded her of the security guards at the grocery store. Maria appeared beside her, following her gaze. "Who are they?" Jennifer asked. "Business associates," Maria said carefully. "Mr. Marcelli has many complex dealings." The way she said complex sent a chill down Jennifer's spine. What kind of business exactly? The kind that requires careful handling. Maria moved away from the window. Some things are better left unknown. That evening, after Elena was in bed, Jennifer found herself alone with Vito in his study. He was pouring himself a glass of scotch, his movements sharp with tension. "Rough day?" she ventured. He looked up, seeming surprised to see her. "I thought you'd gone home already. Elena wanted me to read her one more story." Jennifer hesitated, then stepped into the room. "Vito, can I ask you something?" His entire body went on alert. "Of course. What is it you actually do? I mean, I know you run companies, but there's more to it, isn't there?" For a long moment he just stared at her. Then he set down his glass and walked to the window overlooking the garden where they'd been so peaceful just hours before. "There are things about my life, my work, that could be dangerous for you to know. The less you understand about certain aspects of my business, the safer you'll be. Are you in some kind of trouble?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Trouble is a relative term. Let's just say I have responsibilities that extend beyond typical business practices." "Illegal responsibilities?" The silence stretched between them like a taut wire. When he finally turned back to her, his eyes were dark with something that looked like regret. "Jennifer, if you want to walk away now, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're taken care of financially, help you find something else. No questions asked." "And Elena?" Pain flashed across his features. "Elena is my priority, but she's also my weakness. People I work with, they notice things like that." Matrata, Capítulo 6. Jennifer lay awake that night, Vito's words echoing in her mind. She should be terrified, should pack her things and run. Instead, all she could think about was the vulnerability in his eyes when he'd offered to let her go, the way his voice had cracked when he called Elena his weakness. By morning, her decision was made. She arrived at the Marcelli house to find chaos. Maria met her at the door, her usual composure cracked with worry. "Thank God you're here. Elena's been asking for you since 6 a.m. She's upset." Jennifer found Elena in her bedroom, curled up in the window seat, clutching the sketchbook Jennifer had given her. Tears streaked her cheeks. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" "Papa's leaving again. He always leaves when the scary men come." Eleanor's voice was small and broken. "What if he doesn't come back this time?" Jennifer's heart clenched. "Art, your papa will always come back to you. He loves you more than anything in the world. But what if the bad people hurt him?" The innocence of the question hit Jennifer like a physical blow. This child, this sweet, brilliant little girl, lived with the constant fear that her father might not come home. "Eleanor, look at me." Jennifer sat beside her, taking the small hands in hers. "Your papa is very strong and very smart. He knows how to take care of himself. Will you stay with me while he's gone? Please don't leave too." "I'm not going anywhere," Jennifer promised, pulling Elena into her arms. Later, as Elena napped, Jennifer found Vito in his office packing documents into a leather briefcase. He looked exhausted, older than his 38 years. "How long will you be gone?" 2 days, maybe 3. "There's a situation in Miami that requires my personal attention. Elena's scared you won't come back." His hands stilled on the briefcase. "I always come back." "I know, but she's 8 years old. She doesn't understand why people in suits make her papa go away." "Some things can't be explained to children." Jennifer stepped closer, close enough to smell his cologne, close enough to see the exhaustion etched around his eyes. "What about adults? What if I want to understand?" He looked up sharply. "I thought you'd decided to leave. I decided to stay. Even knowing that my world is complicated, dangerous, especially knowing that." She took a breath, gathering courage. "Elena needs stability, and you need someone who won't run at the first sign of trouble." "I'm tougher than I look, Vito." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, gratitude, and something that looked dangerously like hope. "This isn't just about Elena anymore, is it?" His voice was soft, almost uncertain. The air between them was charged with unspoken possibility. Jennifer felt herself leaning closer, drawn by the magnetic pull of his presence. "No," she whispered. "It's not." His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb tracing along her cheekbone. "Jennifer, you need to understand what you're getting into. My business, it's not always legal. I have enemies. People I work with don't hesitate to use leverage against me." "Including Elena?" His jaw tightened. "Including anyone I care about." The weight of his words settled between them. He was telling her that caring about him and letting him care about her would put her in danger. "I'm not going anywhere," she said again, this time looking directly into his eyes. For a moment she thought he might kiss her. The tension between them was almost unbearable. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. "Marcelli," he answered, his tone immediately becoming cold and professional. "Yes, I'll be there in an hour." He hung up and stepped back, the businessman's mask sliding back into place. "I have to go. Maria will be here with you and Elena." "Vito." She caught his arm as he started to leave. "Be careful." He turned back and for just a moment let his guard down completely. "Knowing you and Elena are here waiting for me, it gives me something to come home to." After he left, Jennifer stood in his office, breathing in the lingering scent of his cologne, trying to process what had just happened between them. Maria appeared in the doorway. "He's never looked at anyone the way he looks at you." "Maria, what exactly is Vito involved in?" Maria was quiet for a long moment. "Mr. Marcelli is what some people might call a problem solver. When legitimate businesses have issues that can't be handled through normal channels, they come to him." "You mean he protects this family and provides for Elena's future. Everything else is just details." Capitulo 7. Vito returned from Miami 3 days later, carrying visible tension in every line of his body. Jennifer watched from Elena's bedroom window as he emerged from the black town car, noting the way his eyes immediately scanned the grounds before he allowed himself to relax. "Papa's home," Elena squealed, abandoning her art project to run downstairs. By the time Jennifer made it to the foyer, Eleanor was already wrapped around her father's legs, chattering about everything she'd done while he was gone. But Jennifer's attention was caught by the fresh bruise along Vito's jaw and the careful way he moved his left shoulder. Their eyes met over Elena's head, and she saw relief flood his features. "How did it go?" she asked quietly when Elena paused for breath. "Successfully resolved," he replied, but there was something dark in his expression that made her chest tighten with worry. That evening, after Elena was in bed, Jennifer found Vito in the garden, sitting on the stone bench where she'd first taught Elena to draw roses. He'd changed into jeans and a simple black t-shirt, looking more approachable, but somehow more dangerous, without the civilizing influence of his business suits. "You're hurt," she said, sitting beside him without invitation. "It's nothing. That bruise on your jaw isn't nothing." He turned to look at her, his green eyes shadowed in the moonlight. "Are you having second thoughts about staying?" "Are you trying to make me have second thoughts?" A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Maybe. It would be safer for you. I'm getting tired of everyone telling me what's safe." She shifted to face him fully. "I'm a grown woman, Vito. I can make my own decisions about risk." "Can you? Because this isn't theoretical anymore." His voice grew intense. "The people I dealt with in Miami, they know about you now. They know Elena has someone new in her life, someone who matters to her." A chill ran down her spine. "They threatened me? Not directly, but they made it clear they'd researched everyone in my inner circle. Your name came up. The idea that dangerous strangers knew about her, were watching her, was terrifying. But beneath the fear was something else, anger that anyone would dare threaten her ability to care for Elena. Let them research. They'll find out I'm exactly what I appear to be, a woman who cares about a little girl and her father. You're not afraid?" "I'm terrified," she admitted, "but I'm not leaving." He reached for her then, his hand covering hers on the bench between them. "Why? Why risk this for us?" The question hung in the night air between them. Jennifer could give him the safe answer, that she cared about Elena, that the job was important to her. But looking into his eyes, she knew he deserved the truth. "Because when I'm with you and Elena, I feel like I belong somewhere for the first time in my life. Because Elena needs me, and I think maybe you do too." His thumb traced across her knuckles. "I need you more than is smart, more than is safe for either of us. Then we'll be unsafe together. This time." When he leaned toward her, nothing interrupted them. His kiss was gentle at first, questioning, giving her every opportunity to pull away. Instead, she moved closer, her hand coming up to touch the bruise on his jaw with infinite tenderness. He deepened the kiss and she could taste the complexity of him, strength and vulnerability, danger and devotion all wrapped together in a way that made her head spin. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "Jennifer, if we do this, if we become whatever we're becoming, there's no going back. The people in my world will see you as an asset or a liability. There won't be middle ground. Then we'll make sure I'm an asset." He laughed softly, but there was pain in it. "You make it sound simple. Isn't it? You protect the people you love. I understand that. Do you? Because protection in my world doesn't mean hiring bodyguards and installing security systems. Sometimes it means making choices that hurt the people you're trying to save. She pulled back to study his face in the moonlight. What aren't you telling me? Before he could answer, Maria appeared on the terrace, her expression urgent. Mr. Marcelli, you have a call. It's Mr. D'Angelo. Vito's entire body tensed. Now? He says it's about the Miami situation. He wants to meet tomorrow. Jennifer watched Vito's face transform back into the cold, calculating expression she was beginning to associate with his business dealings. Tell him noon at the usual place. He stood, then looked down at Jennifer. This conversation isn't over. As he walked toward the house, Maria lingered behind. Who's Mr. D'Angelo? Jennifer asked. Someone you never want to meet, Maria replied grimly. Capítulo 8. The next morning brought an unexpected disruption. Jennifer arrived at work to find Elena's therapy session cancelled and Maria packing an overnight bag with military efficiency. What's going on? Mr. Marcelli wants Elena out of the house for a few days. We're taking her to the lake house upstate. Because of this D'Angelo meeting. Maria's hands stilled on the suitcase. How do you know about that? I was there when you gave him the message. Maria, what's really happening here? Before Maria could answer, Elena appeared in the doorway, her small face creased with worry. Why do we have to go away? I don't want to leave Papa alone with the scary people. Jennifer knelt to Elena's level. Sometimes daddies have to handle grown-up business, sweetheart, but we're going to have an adventure at the lake house. Remember, you can show me all your favorite spots. Will you come with us? Jennifer looked at Maria, who nodded grimly. Yes, I'll come. As they prepared to leave, Vito emerged from his study. He'd returned to his armor of expensive suits, but Jennifer could see the tension radiating from him. Papa, do you have to meet the scary men today? Elena asked, wrapping her arms around his waist. Just business, Stelina. You'll have fun at the lake with Jennifer and Maria. When will you come? Soon, I promise. He kissed the top of her head, then looked at Jennifer over Elena's head. Take care of her. What about taking care of you? His expression softened slightly. I'll be fine, this is just a conversation. But as they drove away from the estate, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that she was leaving him to face something that would change everything. The lake house was beautiful, a sprawling cabin surrounded by towering pines and overlooking crystal-clear water. Under normal circumstances, Jennifer would have loved the peaceful setting. Instead, she found herself constantly checking her phone, waiting for updates that never came. Elena seemed to sense the adult's tension. She was quieter than usual, more clingy, asking repeatedly when Papa would join them. On the second night, as Jennifer was tucking Elena into bed, the little girl grabbed her hand. Jennifer, if something happens to Papa, will you stay with me? The innocent question hit like a physical blow. Nothing's going to happen to your Papa, sweetheart. But if it does, promise you won't leave me. I promise, Jennifer said, meaning it with every fiber of her being. Later, she found Maria on the deck, staring out at the moonlit lake. She's scared, Jennifer said, settling into the chair beside her. She should be. We all should be. What does that mean? Maria was quiet for so long that Jennifer thought she wouldn't answer. Finally, she spoke. Mr. D'Angelo represents certain interests in Chicago. Old families, traditional ways of doing business. Mr. Marcelli has been trying to move his operations in a different direction. More legitimate, less visible. Not everyone approves of those changes. You're talking about the mob. I'm talking about men who believe power comes from fear, and who don't like being told their methods are outdated. And Vito is telling them that Mr. Marcelli is trying to build something better for Elena's future, a legacy she can be proud of instead of running from. The pieces clicked into place with terrible clarity. That's why he needed to go to Miami. Someone was challenging his authority, and now someone here is doing the same thing. Jennifer felt cold despite the warm evening. How dangerous is this meeting really? Dangerous enough that he wanted Elena safely away. And me? Maria looked at her directly. You're not just the nanny anymore. Jennifer, you're his weakness, and in this world, weaknesses get exploited. That night, Jennifer lay awake, staring at the ceiling, finally understanding the true weight of what Vito had tried to warn her about. Loving him and letting him love her didn't just put her at risk. It put Elena at risk too. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Having fun at the lake? Mr. Marcelli has interesting taste in companions. Would hate for something to happen to such a pretty woman, or such a sweet little girl. The phone slipped from her suddenly numb fingers, clattering to the hardwood floor. They'd found her. Capítulo 9. Jennifer's hands shook as she picked up the phone, reading the message again to make sure she hadn't imagined it. The threat was unmistakable, as was the implication. Whoever sent this knew exactly where she and Eleanor were. She crept down the hall to Maria's room, finding the older woman already awake and packing with swift efficiency. "We need to leave now." Maria's voice was grim. "You got one too?" "3 of them, and a call on the house phone." Maria threw clothes into a bag with practiced urgency. "Get Elena up. Don't let her pack anything. We go with what we can carry." "Where are we going?" "Somewhere they can't follow. There's a safe house about 2 hours north. Mr. Marcelli has contingency plans for situations like this." Jennifer's blood ran cold. Situations like this happen often? Often enough. They woke Eleanor as gently as possible, telling her they were going on another adventure. The little girl, still drowsy, accepted the explanation without question, though she asked again when Papa would join them. As they drove through the dark mountain roads, Eleanor fell back asleep in the back seat. Jennifer kept checking the mirrors, looking for following headlights. "How do they keep finding us?" "Money and connections," Maria said grimly. "Mr. D'Angelo has resources. Is Vito safe?" "I don't know. He stopped answering his phone 6 hours ago." The safe house turned out to be a modest cabin, sparsely furnished but well stocked with supplies. Maria immediately began checking security systems, while Jennifer settled Elena on the couch. "I want to call Papa," Elena said, more alert now and sensing the tension around her. "We'll try him in the morning, sweetheart." But morning brought no word from Vito. Maria's attempts to reach him went straight to voicemail. By noon, even Maria's composed facade was cracking. "Something's wrong," she admitted. "He always checks in." Elena overheard and immediately began crying. "They hurt Papa. I know they did." Jennifer held the sobbing child, her own heart breaking with fear and helplessness. She'd promised Elena that nothing would happen to Vito, but what if she'd been wrong? That afternoon, while Elena napped fitfully on the couch, Maria received a call that made her face go pale. "Yes, I understand. We'll wait here." She hung up and turned to Jennifer. "That was Mr. Marcelli's attorney. He's sending someone to get us." "Someone? Not Vito." "Mr. Marcelli is unavailable." The careful phrasing sent ice through Jennifer's veins. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means we don't know where he is." When Eleanor woke and realized Papa still wasn't there, her distress escalated into a full meltdown. Nothing Jennifer tried could calm her. She screamed for her father, threw herself around the small room, and sobbed with the desperate intensity of a child who'd lost too much already. "Papa, I want Papa! Why won't he come? Why won't he call me?" Jennifer knelt on the floor, letting Elena cry against her shoulder, while her own tears fell silently. This brilliant, sensitive child was experiencing her worst fear, that the people she loved would disappear without warning. "He loves you. Elena, whatever's happening, he loves you more than anything. Then why won't he come home?" It was a question Jennifer couldn't answer because she was terrified of what the truth might be. The attorney's representative arrived at sunset, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense manner. "I'm Catherine Walsh, Mr. Marcelli's estate attorney. I'm here to take you somewhere safe until this situation resolves." "What situation?" Jennifer demanded. "Where is Vito?" Catherine's expression was carefully neutral. "Mr. Marcelli missed a scheduled meeting this morning. His security team is investigating." "You mean he's missing?" "I mean we're taking precautions." Eleanor, exhausted from crying, had fallen asleep in Jennifer's arms. As they prepared to leave the safe house, Catherine pulled Jennifer aside. "Miss Rodriguez, I need to ask you some difficult questions. What exactly is your relationship with Mr. Marcelli?" "I'm Elena's tutor, and we were becoming close." "How close?" "Close enough that people might use me to hurt him." Catherine nodded grimly. "That's what I was afraid of. There are things you need to know about the legal arrangements Mr. Marcelli has in place." "What kind of arrangements?" "If anything happens to him, you have options. He's made provisions for both you and Elena's care." "I don't want his money," Jennifer said fiercely. "I want him safe." "I know. But he wanted to make sure you and Eleanor would be protected regardless. He cares about you both very much." As they drove toward yet another unknown destination, Jennifer held sleeping Eleanor close and tried not to think about the past tense Catherine had used when talking about Vito's feelings. Was he already gone? Had her decision to stay in his dangerous world cost Elena the only parent she had left? Outside the car windows, the night seemed full of threats and unknown dangers. But the greatest danger was the growing certainty that the man she'd fallen in love with might never be coming home. Dumbdrischen Capítulo 10. The new safe house was actually a penthouse apartment in downtown Chicago, secured by what appeared to be a small army of protection specialists. Jennifer found herself in the surreal position of living in luxury while being essentially a prisoner. Eleanor had barely spoken since learning Papa was missing. She sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows, drawing endless pictures of a man in a dark suit, sometimes adding tears to his face. On the third day, Catherine Walsh returned with news that made Jennifer's world shift on its axis. "We've located Mr. Marcelli," she said, her tone carefully controlled. "He's alive, thank God," Jennifer breathed. "When can we see him?" "That's complicated. He's in federal custody." "What?" Catherine sat down heavily. "The meeting with D'Angelo was a setup. The FBI has been building a case against several prominent families in Chicago. They offered Mr. Marcelli a deal, cooperation in exchange for immunity and witness protection." Jennifer felt the room spinning around her. Witness protection? He would have to testify against his former associates, give up his current identity, and disappear with Elena to start over somewhere new. "Without me." The program doesn't extend to unofficial family members. The devastating reality hit her like a physical blow. Vito would have to choose between his daughter's safety and their relationship. There was no real choice at all. He took the deal. He's considering it. But there's more. Catherine's expression grew even more grave. "Mr. D'Angelo has made it clear that if Mr. Marcelli cooperates with federal authorities, he'll retaliate against anyone Vito cares about, starting with you." Eleanor looked up from her drawing. "What does that mean? Is Papa in jail?" Jennifer knelt beside her. "Papa is safe, sweetheart. Some people are helping him with a very difficult problem." "When is he coming home?" "We don't know yet." That night, after Elena finally fell asleep, Jennifer stood at the windows looking out at the Chicago skyline. Somewhere out there, Vito was making an impossible choice: Elena's future or their love. She already knew what he would choose, what any good father would choose. Catherine joined her at the window. "There is one other option." "What do you mean?" "Mr. Marcelli could refuse the federal deal, continue operating as he has been, and face whatever consequences D'Angelo has planned. But that would mean constant danger for all of you, including Elena. Especially Elena. She's his greatest vulnerability." Jennifer closed her eyes, feeling the weight of an impossible situation. "He can't live like that, neither can she. Which brings us to the real reason I'm here." Catherine turned to face her. "Mr. Marcelli wants to see you, to explain the situation himself, and let you decide what's best for Elena." "I thought he was in federal custody." "Supervised custody. He has some freedoms while they negotiate the terms of his cooperation. But Jennifer," Catherine's voice grew urgent, "if you see him, if you're spotted together, it confirms to D'Angelo that you're important enough to target. There's no going back from that. And if I don't see him, he disappears into witness protection with Elena, and you never see either of them again." The choice was as brutal as it was simple. Risk everything for one last goodbye, or lose them forever without the chance to say the words that mattered. Jennifer thought about Elena's drawings, about the fear in the little girl's eyes, about the way Vito had looked at her in the garden when he'd promised this conversation wasn't over. Some things were worth any risk. "When?" "Tomorrow night. But Jennifer, you need to understand, once you agree to this meeting, you're officially part of his world in the eyes of everyone watching. The FBI will consider you a potential witness or accomplice. D'Angelo will consider you a target. There's no neutral ground anymore. I stopped being neutral the moment I decided to stay in their lives." Catherine nodded slowly. "He said you'd say that. You've talked to him?" "Briefly. He wanted to make sure you understood the risks before agreeing to see him." "What did you tell him?" "That you're either the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most foolish. Possibly both." Jennifer looked back toward the bedroom where Eleanor slept, clutching the sketchbook that had started everything between them. When someone you love needs you, courage and foolishness look a lot alike. The next evening, as she prepared to see Vito, Jennifer realized that whatever happened in their meeting would determine not just their future, but Elena's entire life. Some conversations changed everything. This would be one of them. Capítulo 11. The meeting was set for midnight at a small chapel on the south side of Chicago, neutral ground supervised by federal agents, but private enough for the conversation that would determine their futures. Jennifer's hands shook as she prepared to leave the safe house. Elena had woken up asking for Papa again, and lying to those trusting green eyes was becoming unbearable. "Tell Papa I drew him a new picture," Elena said, handing Jennifer a crayon drawing of 3 figures holding hands. A tall man, a woman with long hair, and a little girl with curls. Above them she'd written "My Family" in careful block letters. The simple drawing nearly broke Jennifer's heart. Catherine drove her through the dark city streets, both women silent with the weight of what was coming. The chapel was small and old, its Gothic spires silhouetted against the cloudy night sky. "The agents will maintain a perimeter, but they've agreed to give you privacy for the conversation itself," Catherine explained as they pulled up. "You have 30 minutes. Jennifer walked into the chapel with Elena's drawing clutched in her hand. Vito was sitting in the front pew, his head bowed as if in prayer. He looked up as her footsteps echoed in the empty space. The relief in his eyes when he saw her was overwhelming. He stood, and for a moment they just looked at each other across the small distance that felt like an ocean. "You came. Did you think I wouldn't?" He almost smiled. "I hoped you would, you." "I feared you wouldn't." Up close she could see the toll the last week had taken on him. His face was drawn with exhaustion, and there was a hollowness in his eyes that spoke of impossible choices and sleepless nights. "How's Elena?" "She misses her papa. She drew you this." Jennifer handed him the picture. Vito's composure cracked as he looked at the crayon drawing. "She put you in our family. Is that what we were becoming? A family? That's what I wanted us to become, more than I've ever wanted anything." He looked up from the drawing. "But wanting something doesn't make it possible. The federal deal would keep Elena safe. New identities, new lives, complete protection from D'Angelo and anyone like him. Without me. Without you." The words seemed to cost him everything to say. Witness protection doesn't extend to people who aren't legally family, and even if it did, asking you to give up everything, your life, your identity, your freedom, for us wouldn't be fair. Shouldn't that be my choice? Not when the alternative is watching you die because you chose to love us. The raw honesty in his voice made her chest ache. "So what do we do?" "I don't know." For the first time since she'd known him, Vito Marcelli looked completely lost. "Every option ends with someone I love getting hurt." Jennifer moved closer, close enough to touch his face, to trace the exhaustion around his eyes. "What if there was another way?" "What do you mean?" "What if D'Angelo's threats were empty? What if he's counting on fear to control your choices?" "Jennifer, these people don't make empty threats, but they also don't expect anyone to call their bluff. You said yourself you've been trying to move your business away from their methods. What if it's time to take that final step? You're talking about going completely legitimate. I'm talking about fighting back instead of running. You have resources, connections, legal teams. What if instead of hiding from D'Angelo, you expose him?" Vito stared at her as if she'd suggested they grow wings and fly away. "That would be incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than spending the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. More dangerous than Elena growing up, thinking her father abandoned her when things got difficult. Elena would be safe, in witness protection. Elena would be traumatized. She's already lost her mother. How do you think she'll handle losing her entire identity too?" The truth of that hit him visibly. "I can't risk her life on the hope that we can outsmart people who've been playing this game for decades. You wouldn't be doing it alone." Jennifer took his hands in hers. "The FBI wants D'Angelo. Give them what they need, but do it on your terms. Stay and fight instead of running. And if we lose, then we lose together. But Vito, if we don't try, we lose anyway. At least this way, Elena keeps her father." For several long moments he was quiet, staring down at their joined hands. When he looked up, there was something new in his expression. Not hope exactly, but determination. It would mean testifying openly, not from hiding. Maximum exposure, maximum risk, maximum chance of actually ending this instead of just postponing it. "You realize what you're suggesting? That we take on one of Chicago's most dangerous men, with nothing but legal proceedings and good intentions? I'm suggesting that we trust love to be stronger than fear." He brought her hands to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "I've never met anyone like you. Is that a yes? That's a, let me talk to the federal prosecutors about changing the terms of my deal." The chapel doors opened, and Catherine appeared. "Time's up." As they prepared to leave, Vito caught Jennifer's hand. "If we do this, if we stay and fight, there's no guarantee how it ends. There's never a guarantee." "Vito, But some things are worth the risk. Even your life. Especially my life. Because what's the point of being safe if you're not living for something that matters? Capítulo 12. 6 months later, Jennifer stood in the kitchen of the Marcelli estate, helping Elena frost cupcakes for her 9th birthday party. The morning sunlight streamed through windows that no longer felt like prison bars, and the laughter filling the house was genuine for the first time in months. The federal trial had been a media sensation. The Chicago Tribune called it the trial that broke the back of organized crime. Vito's testimony, delivered with unflinching courage despite death threats and constant security concerns, had resulted in convictions for D'Angelo and 12 other members of his organization. The threats hadn't been empty. There had been 2 attempts on Vito's life and 1 on Jennifer's. But instead of driving them apart, the shared danger had only strengthened their bond. They'd faced the worst together and survived. "Jennifer, you're putting too much frosting on that one," Elena giggled, pointing to the cupcake that had become more frosting than cake. "Sorry, sweetheart. I was thinking about other things. About Papa. How did you know? You always get that soft look when you think about Papa. Like in the drawing I made of you 2 dancing at the courthouse." The courthouse wedding had been Catherine's idea. Quick, legal, and providing Jennifer with the federal protection that came with being officially family. But when the judge pronounced them husband and wife, and Vito kissed her while Elena cheered from the front row, it had felt like anything but a legal formality. "Mrs. Marcelli." Maria appeared in the doorway, grinning at the title that still made Jennifer's heart skip. "Mr. Marcelli is on his way back from the office. He'll be here in time for the party." Vito's businesses were completely legitimate now. Real estate development, restaurants, and a non-profit foundation focused on autism awareness and support. The transition hadn't been easy or cheap, but it had been worth it for the peace of mind alone. "Is Papa bringing the surprise?" Eleanor asked excitedly. "You'll have to ask him yourself," Jennifer laughed. The surprise was a golden retriever puppy that Vito and Elena had secretly picked out the week before. Jennifer wasn't supposed to know about it, but Elena's excitement made keeping secrets nearly impossible. As the afternoon progressed, their small group of friends filled the garden where Jennifer and Elena had once drawn roses, while Vito worked nearby. Now he was the one playing with the children while she and Maria supervised from the shade. "You know," Maria said, watching Vito get thoroughly destroyed in a water balloon fight, "I never thought I'd see him truly happy. Successful, yes. Powerful, absolutely. But happy, that was something I thought his life wouldn't allow. What changed? You, Elena. The realization that love is the only power that actually matters." Later, as the sun set and the last guests departed, the 3 of them sat in the garden where their story had really begun. Elena was cuddled between her parents, the new puppy, officially named Rose but already answering to Rosie, asleep in her lap. "Papa, tell the story again about how you and Jennifer fell in love," Elena requested, her eyes bright despite her yawning. "Again, I just told it last week. But I like the part where you were scared of your feelings, and Jennifer had to be brave for both of you." Vito laughed, pulling both his girls closer. "Is that how the story goes?" "That's how it goes," Jennifer confirmed, resting her head on his shoulder. "Though you got brave eventually." "I had good teachers," he said, kissing the top of Elena's head, then Jennifer's forehead. As Elena drifted off to sleep, Vito carefully carried her inside to her bedroom. When he returned to the garden, he found Jennifer sitting on their bench, looking up at the stars. "Regrets?" he asked, settling beside her. "None. You. Only that it took me so long to realize that the most dangerous thing I could do was try to live without love. And now I know that some risks are worth everything." He turned to face her, his green eyes serious in the moonlight. "Jennifer Marcelli, you saved my life in more ways than one. We saved each other, Vito. That's what people who love each other do." As they sat together in the garden where they'd shared their first kiss, where Elena had learned to see beauty instead of chaos, where a mafia boss had become a man worth loving, Jennifer reflected on the journey that had brought them here. She'd walked into a supermarket to buy groceries and walked out with a family. She'd risked everything for love and found that love had been worth every moment of fear, every sleepless night, every impossible choice. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do was follow your heart. Sometimes it was also the only thing worth doing. In the distance, a nightingale began to sing, its melody floating across the garden like a promise that some stories, despite all odds, really do have happy endings. Elena was safe, loved, and thriving. Vito had built the legitimate legacy he dreamed of giving his daughter. And Jennifer had found her place in a family that had chosen each other, despite every obstacle the world had thrown at them. Love, it turned out, really was stronger than fear. Some risks were worth taking, some families were worth fighting for, and some stories, no matter how they began, ended exactly as they should.